the grand epic of humanity's dumbest invention, sleep. Hey, my name's Ayushman. What's up, everyone, and welcome to my corner of the internet where we question the weirdest, most boring, and most stubborn practices in human history. I'm your host, and today we're talking about the one thing almost every person does every night, and the one thing we all secretly hate. Yes, I'm talking about sleep. Sleep, that mandatory 8-hour sedation that kills our productivity, shuts down our parties early, and tricks us into thinking that waking up without an alarm is a vacation. Before we dive into every stupid twist and turn of this saga of slumber, take a quick second. I'm pretty sure liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that little bell icon will make you smarter and faster. It's a scientific fact. No, it's not. Let's get into it. Congratulations, humanity. We figured out gravity, we split the atom, we connected the world with a button, but we still spend a third of our day just closing our eyes and being useless. It is our greatest and most idiotic tradition. Unreal. Chapter 1. Ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt, the 8-hour trade-off. Let's start our journey with the early civilizations. At this point, humans were just figuring things out. They didn't know how to run banks or build pyramids, but they knew one thing: when the sun goes down, going outside is dangerous. In ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt, sleep was a practical necessity, but what's fascinating is they weren't strictly locked into 8 hours. They often followed the sunlight. But when they invented the clock, even in a basic form, they quickly learned to divide time. They carved up the day for work and the night for, well, definitely sleeping. They slept without guilt. They didn't have emails. They didn't have a 24-hour news cycle telling them the world was ending. But here's the joke. They started taking dreams seriously. The Egyptians began treating dreams as prophecies of the future. Suddenly, sleep wasn't just rest. It was a divine messaging service. So if you were snoring at night, you weren't just lazy, you were probably receiving a message from a god. The takedown. Ancient people actually found sleep excellent. Why? Because they had no alternative entertainment. It was dark, it was dangerous. Sleeping was honestly the best option. We now have every streaming service imaginable, and we still waste 8 hours. Shameful. Chapter 2. The Roman Empire, Naps and Public Baths. The Roman Empire, the great engineering power of the West. You think such great people would sleep straight through? Absolutely not. Romans frequently took an afternoon nap, called the meriditione. It was a mandatory break from the midday grind. When you're running an empire and making tyrannical decisions all day, you need a break. The Romans were also famous for public baths. They'd socialize in the baths for hours, sweat it out, and yes, get exhausted. Their sleeping schedule was a bit haphazard, but their lives were hyper-social. And yes, they had their weird sleeping habits too. The wealthy slept on plush, soft beds, while common citizens slept on the ground or simple mats. Did you know the sleep disparity between the rich and the poor was first solidified right here, as if sleep, which should be free for everyone, also became a status symbol? The takedown. The Romans proved you can run an empire even while taking a midday snooze. They made the afternoon rest an institution. Today, if you take a nap at your desk, you get written up as a slacker. Yes, that was the decision they made, and it was a brilliant decision that we have ignorantly abandoned. Chapter 3 and the Middle Ages and the biphasic bloom. Now we get to history's strangest sleeping trend, the two-shift sleep of medieval Europe. We touched on it briefly before, but this one deserves a deep dive. People would go to bed around 9 or 10 o'clock, the first sleep. Around midnight, they would simply wake up. No alarm, just eyes wide open. And they'd be up for an hour or two. What did they do? They prayed in the dark. They told stories. They stared into the fire. They conceived children. They visited neighbors. It was called the watch or the waking. Can you imagine your neighbor showing up at your door at 2 a.m. saying, "Hey, how was your first sleep? Let's go meditate by the fire." It was a peculiar form of decompression. They argued that it helped with anxiety because you were awake during the scariest time of the night. And then they'd go back for the second sleep, which carried them through until morning. This was their natural rhythm. The takedown. Medieval people were incredibly comfortable with their sleep. When our ancestors woke up naturally at midnight, they accepted it. We wake up at midnight today and Google why we have insomnia. We've turned a normal human behavior into a psychiatric problem. Honestly, wow! Chapter 4. The Industrial War on Sleep. Time is money and you're sleeping. Electricity arrives, factories arrive, and suddenly everything changes. First, there's light. Gas lamps, then electricity. Night is no longer pitch black. You can work 24 hours a day. And when you can work 24 hours a day, sleep becomes an inconvenience. This was the era where monophasic sleep became standard. People were forced to sleep 8 hours straight so they could be on time for the factory floor the next morning. Capitalists said, why waste time at 2 a.m. when you can spend it fully sleeping and then working more for us? In the Victorian era, laziness became a moral failing. Sleeping too much was a sin. If you were a hard-working citizen, you should be sleeping less. The working class often got terribly little sleep, while the wealthy, who didn't work, took nice long naps guilt-free. The irony is thick. The people who needed rest the most got the least. The takedown. The Industrial Revolution isolated our sleep. Our natural rhythm was broken. We chose artificial light and we made sleep deprivation a moral victory. This was history's greatest blunder that permanently messed up our health. Chapter 5. The Modern Era. Hacking and Hating Sleep. And here we are, in the year 2025. We treat sleep as the enemy. We don't call it sleep deprivation, we call it the grind or the hustle. We now have smartwatches that tell us exactly how much deep sleep we got. If we missed our REM goal, we feel like a failure. We turn sleep into a game that we always lose. We worship polyphasic sleepers, the people who take 20-minute power naps all day, because it's absolutely insane, and therefore cool. We read stories of CEOs who brag, I only sleep 4 hours, and we think, wow, I should be more like that. We lie in bed at night staring at the blue light of our phones, knowing it's wrong, but we're terrified of missing one email or one tweet. We've traded sleep for anxiety. The takedown. So here we are. After thousands of years of evolution, we've concluded that sleep is a bad thing. We know we need it, but we hate it. We try to hack it, we try to beat it, and in the end, we just wind up tired. Final thoughts. So the next time you go to bed, remember this. You are participating in history's greatest comedy drama. You are a creature who decided that spending a third of your day unconscious was an excellent plan and then decided to destroy that plan. Thanks for joining me on this incredibly foolish journey. Share this with your sleep-deprived friends. Give them a chance to laugh at their own stupidity. I'm out. I might need a quick nap. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just stare at the ceiling and figure out how to achieve my 90% life goals. Good night. Or good afternoon. Whatever. Stop sleeping.